Hi, I'm Patrick Lynch with CSE Magazine. We're here with Mara Rozgas, Chief Editor, CSE Magazine, and Mike Madden, National Sales Manager for Gamewell-FCI. We're going to talk a little bit about the fire and life safety industry, and we're here in our offices in Oak Brook, Illinois. During your 35-year career, how has your relationship with specifiers changed? And in the foreseeable future, how do you see this relationship continuing to evolve?
Well, Patrick, in 35 years, obviously when I was a young sales rep starting out on the street, most of the engineers were a lot older than I was. As a result, you're kind of learning your way around the industry, gaining experience as you go. Now, today, the real difference is most of the engineers are younger than I am. So when I'm dealing with engineers, they have a lot more confidence in my opinion. They have a lot more trust in some of my suggestions. So that's probably the biggest change in our relationship. I think as we continue to go forward in our industry, because of the sophistication of some of the systems, a lot of engineers are starting to rely more on manufacturers' reps for application guidelines, some design assistance, and they're really looking to manufacturers' reps to help educate their younger engineers.
Mm-hmm. In what ways will the development of NFPA 3 affect your industry?
Well, as you're aware, NFPA 3 is still in the development stage. The technical committee is wrestling with a lot of issues regarding NFPA. First, let me just clarify for our listeners, the NFPA 3 is a new standard being developed for putting procedures in place for the proper commissioning of fire alarm and fire protection systems. It will not become a standard until it's voted on next year in Boston, Massachusetts at the NFPA annual meeting. Until that time, it's pretty hard to comment on it until we know what final form it's going to take. I understand one of the big arguments that the technical committee is wrestling with right now is whether to try to make it a standard or make it a recommended guideline. As a standard, they're not sure that it's enforceable, but my view as a representative of a major manufacturer is any guidelines or standards that's developed to ensure the proper commissioning of a fire alarm system is a good thing. Mm-hmm. So I would look for it to really improve the overall level of competence of the industry. Certainly, you know, the distributors and technicians that are out there doing it will have to go through some additional training so that they make sure they adhere with the new standard or guidelines. So,
and why do you think the committee doesn't believe it'll pass as a standard instead just be a recommended guideline?
You know, I haven't had a chance to talk to some of my peers in the industry that are on the committee. I guess my concerns or their concerns would be that it's hard to include what the thoughts are of every AHJ that's out around the country. A lot of these AHJs have developed their own set of procedures of what they want to see done in their municipalities. So I think that's the feeling is that as a standard, it would be hard to be enforceable because it would then be hard to get AHJs to get behind the standard itself. So,
in our September issue, we focused on schools. What are your near-term goals, and what do you see changing in the life safety systems and educational facilities?
Schools are interesting, and they continue to evolve. I mean, we continue to build new schools, bigger schools, more modern schools. As you've seen, you know, at the higher education, the colleges and university levels, a lot of them have started to take steps to install not only fire alarm, which they've done for years, but to embrace the emergency communication, mass notification avenues available to them. Unfortunately, high schools and even elementary schools are not immune to the kind of intruder threats that we've seen take place at Columbine out in Colorado and at Virginia Tech in Virginia. So I think some of the big changes are the schools are starting to look at voice-based systems as a avenue where they can communicate better with the faculty and students. I think they're trying to explore opportunities where they can leverage some of their existing technologies, like their LAN and WAN backbones that are already installed, and be able to integrate their systems a little more tightly so that it helps not only from a fire alarm aspect, but also the ability to protect the students from other type of hazards as well.
What building type presents the biggest challenge when designing and implementing a life safety system? Why is this?
Without a doubt, it's healthcare.
Healthcare.
Hospitals present a unique set of challenges. The main reason is for instance, you have a non-ambulatory population. You have a lot of patients that can't be moved very easily. You're dealing with a lot of people that are there visiting who are not familiar with the facility at all. They're just there visiting a patient or something like that. So then, when it comes to evacuation or moving people, it's very difficult. Then again, hospitals, by their very nature, present a lot of unique hazards. There's biohazards you have to worry about. There's chemical and gas hazards you have to deal with. There's very unique smoke control issues that have to be dealt with in a hospital. So hospitals do present their own set of unique challenges along the way, and are very, very different than a typical school or a high-rise building or something like that. So,
and just to our audience, as people that are speccing other types of equipment, what are some maybe design, just in your opinion from the life safety side, what are some design things that they could maybe implement that could help out with some of these problems of trying to deal with the visitors and getting people up to speed on what the layout of the facility is and where the exits are? Is there something that the people that are speccing the equipment for this building or the design of the building that could help with these problems of getting people out in an organized way?
Yeah, I think the trend I've seen is more and more hospitals are now adapting, again, voice systems. Studies have shown us that people respond much quicker to voice commands and voice messages than they do to just a simple horn that sounds a tone and everybody says, hey, what's that? So I think that's a step in a positive direction. I've seen a lot of big campuses like St. Joseph Medical Center in Syracuse and Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio. A lot of them moving forward using voice as the criteria for their fire alarm systems. And I think a lot of them are using that as an ability to get more precise messaging out to help with the evacuation of the facility.
What new life safety technologies and fire alarm products are helping minimize the risk for building occupants? What are the trends and what do you see for the future?
Well, it seems like about every 10 years in my career, and I've been in the business a little over 40 years, there's always been one breakthrough technology that's changed the industry significantly. In the 70s, it was the introduction of voice systems. In the 80s, it was the introduction of analog addressable systems. The 90s came, and then networking of systems became very popular and continues today. I think as we go forward in the 2000s, the embracing by our industry of emergency communications and mass notifications is going to be the biggest substantial change in our industry going forward. I've heard it said by a lot of my peers, a lot of other people in the industry, that in 3 to 5 years, fire alarms will not be installed without some type of voice capability. I think that the days of just a plain horn and strobe out there are going to be a thing of the past. I think that's a good thing. I think we're finally embracing the idea that we're not just a fire alarm industry, we're a life safety industry, and we have to realize that these are very sophisticated and very complex controls that can do a lot more than just detecting a fire and reporting a hazard. They can be used for intruder alerts. They can be used for weather alerts. They can be used for biohazards or hazardous spills to ensure the safety of the occupants of the building. So.
Well, that's all we have for today. Once again, we're here with Mike Madden, National Sales Manager with Gamewell-FCI, here in the CSE offices in Oak Brook, Illinois. From CSE Magazine, that's it.